morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to yet another review. Uh, Brace yourselves, this could be a long one. It's current. It's about 3 3/4. It's about average for a film we go and watch in the cinema. So yeah, brace yourselves. This could be a long one. Go grab something, sit back, go grab yourself a slice of pizza, go grab yourself a cupcake that won't rip your face off, go grab yourself something nice. We are, of course, looking at the Fred man himself, Five Nights at Freddy's, that since its announcement I've been repeatedly annoying the shit out of you with by going Anyway, so I'm your host as ever, Purple Midnight 8, joined by my wife, the Obsidian Nook, Battle SMR. Don't know why I said it like that. Amelia, of course, why don't you say hello, or why don't you go or something? That'll do. Anyway, as mentioned, we are looking at Five Nights at Freddy's, the adaptation of the video game that has spawned about a million sequels. It did not pick most of that up. We have one of our channels, the one and only. He is back again. One of our favourite actors. He's back on the channel. We won't give that away just yet. But if you've seen the trailers and you've seen some of our other reviews, you know who it is. But we'll talk about him when we get there. We are looking at the critically panned, but we surprisingly enjoyed film. Like, we did not understand why the film was so panned. It really wasn't as bad as people were saying. It had its moments where it was a bit like, okay, this is weird.
There was one moment we sat there and we were like, what the fuck?
There was one part that we were like, what film were we watching again? Sorry, there was a motorbike starting up outside. There was one part of the film we were like, what the fuck is going on? Because it's such a change of pace. But it is, it's never explained why it's in it. But, we sort of made up our theories as to why, and we'll talk about, it's just a theory, by the way. We'll talk about that. There's a lot of things we need to talk about. There's a cameo by someone I know, and a cameo by someone I've never heard of. And there isn't a cameo by Markiplier, unfortunately, because he was busy making his own film, which I would love to go and watch, because the game it's based off. Well, I don't know why I'm not specifying. Iron Lung, that game is a complete fucking misery fest of depressing darkness. It should be interesting, but he's not in this film because he was making that. And everybody was like, where the fuck is Markiplier? Because he kept doing the meme of, is that the Bite of 87? Yeah. So, this is Five Nights at Freddy's, of course, as I've mentioned several times. You have never heard of, well, you've heard of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, I guess. You've heard of it, but you've never seen it. It does have novels. It has novels based off of the games and stuff. But
the pop heads. Then, I think it was in Smith's, there was like a board game or something to do with Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's and its fucking merch is everywhere. And everyone's seen the fucking memes.
But I didn't know much about it.
Yeah. Admittedly, there is a lot of fanfare in this. I think the production design is amazing as well, on the location, all of the animatronics themselves, even little bits that we saw throughout. I can't specify, but I will slip in here now. Spoiler warning: we are going to discuss it straight away off the bat. Golden Freddy looks amazing. Springtrap suit looks amazing. There's a little bit where it says "It's me" on a window, or like a mirror, which is obviously from the game as well. There's lots of little bits of fanfare that I will try my best to discuss when we get to them, but I didn't specify most of them. And there's a couple of little cheeky nods to some of Matthew Lillard, who of course is our returning cast member. A couple of his little other bits of work. We'll discuss that when we get to it. Sit back now. We are going into our in-depth discussion. We've got about 3.5 pages-ish of stuff that we need to cover. This is pretty typical for a film that we watched in the cinema. I keep saying that like we didn't watch it at the cinema. We did. It sounds like we don't, but we did. Anyway, so this film is directed by Emma Tammy and is written by Scott Cawthon, or Cawthon, I don't know how you pronounce his name. Scott Cawthon is actually the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's. He also voiced Phone Guy in the game, who gets brutally murdered later on. He's not in the film, Phone Guy, but he gets murdered in the game. So it's written by Scott Cawthon, Seth Cuddleback, and Seth Cuddleback is a very interesting name. I can't remember if that actually was his name. Yes. No, Cudback, not Cuddleback, Cuddyback. Noel. Forgive me, I will change that. So, of course, we'll get into the long discussion now. The long and short of it, so brace yourselves. A security guard flees for a vent from an unseen attacker, of course. Judging by some context later on, it's presumably the animatronics. Breaking through his door barricade. And on the other side, he opens a door and flees down a corridor, where he is trapped behind another door when he is captured, restrained, and forced to have a mask with whirring gears placed on his face. This is PG-13, I forgot to mention. Although there are some pretty nasty kills for a PG-13. We had one really good death, which we will cover.
Actually on camera.
That was shocking.
Sorry.
There were a lot of off-screen deaths. Even though one of the kills was surprisingly gory for this.
Quite mild.
I still think most of the kills are off-screen. There are some bodies of these people later on that are a bit gory, but there's not a lot of, like, on-screen, like, people being ripped apart or their heads being crushed. It's still gorier than Megan, which was, ironically, another robot that was killing people.
Megan, there was more, like...
There's more on-screen murder, but there wasn't...
blood and kind of...
something like that.
I don't know.
I don't know, but...
I haven't watched...
I will spoil the kill that happens. A person is literally ripped in half. Like, someone's literally... I think you might. I just can't remember. It wasn't very good. I didn't like it. I think you liked it a lot more than me, but you love films about, like, androids and not animatronics, but robots that kill people and just all sorts. There's other films that we've got that are going to cover, like, what's that fucking name? Is it Overdrive or something? Override, that one. You like that one. You like the song from that you had that in your Spotify list for ages.
And I still have it.
You still have it, and it's on DVD, so you know she likes it. Anyway, this video is going to be long enough. We're here to talk about one film. So yeah, it kills him off screen as the credits roll. You were disappointed by that death, but it's an opening kill. I didn't think we were going to get a major, like, violent kill straight away. Mike Schmidt, the security guard from the original game, played by Josh Hutcherson of the Hunger Games fame. You never seen them?
No.
To be fair, they would kind of be up your alley.
Did you say Hunger Games?
Yeah.
If I'm going to be 100% honest with you, the Hunger Games series is a book and it got... I don't tend to read books that have so much hype because I generally don't enjoy them. I tend to go for the more, like, books that aren't, like,
Less mainstream stuff.
that aren't being shoved in your face left, right and centre. Because I just feel that, like, if you read Colleen or you read the Hunger Games or the Shatter Me series, they're just so popular, especially the Cassandra's
Blown out of proportion, hasn't it?
everyone makes them out to be good, but no is awful. The books are a bit rubbish.
Well, I wouldn't say the books are rubbish. We wouldn't go that far. I'd say that they're not to your liking. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's shit. It just means that it's just not to your taste. Anyway, but we're not talking about these books. I just wanted to say, I remember seeing a Facebook comment under a fucking IGN review of somebody who said they were going to take their kids to watch this film. Don't do that. Like, there's someone who gets ripped in half. Like, I don't think I'd. It's a PG. Like, people were asking for a rated R version, but apparently they're not going to release it. Well, that doesn't exist. Yeah, it's like parental guidance.
They were about. I don't know if anyone else under 18
Or if you have the money passport, because there is that as well. But anyway, so Mike wakes up one morning and wakes his sister Abby, who is played by Piper Rubio. I'm not familiar with her, but she's a young actor. This could even be her first ever role. Before going to the mall where he works as a security guard, of course. He watches a man pull a child away and chases them, attacking him, which gets him fired. I feel like this is a bit of foreshadowing, but also it's a sort of referencing how we did put a spoiler warning in, but I'm saying it again for one last time. How his brother got kidnapped when they were younger, so I guess he's a bit more defensive. Hence why he literally beat the shit out of this dude. So he is taken to his work coach Steve, who is played by the man, the myth, the legend, Matthew Lillard. Returning from Scream, returning from the Scooby-Doo movies. We thought there was something else he was in that we've reviewed. Couldn't remember.
With Matthew Lillard, like, I know everyone ages and that, but I
still looks the same. He's just a
bit of Shaggy come out.
You can't unhear Shaggy when you've got fucking Matthew Lillard in your film. But we just love him. We love basically everything he's in. He's just brilliant. He's such a talented actor, and he's just such a. Every performance he does, even in this, his performance is like one of the standout ones. Well, everyone does a good job, but Matthew Lillard is still. He's just Matthew Lillard. He's just brilliant.
He hasn't done anything for a while.
Yeah, his last. Well, we'll take this with a pinch of salt because it's Google. But for the most part, he hasn't really played anyone in live action for about 11 years. We saw, or something like that.
I think right.
Oh no, he was in Twin Peaks, which is a TV series. That's 2014. He was in a TV series called Good Girls, and directed a film called Fat Kid Rules the World, which I would love to see him actually direct something, so if I can find that somewhere, that'd be great.
I think it's because, guys, he's got that Airbnb.
He's got an Airbnb, which is the fucking mystery machine, like, come on. How can you not? He was in a Ghoulies film, really? Sorry, ignore me. He was in a lot. But obviously his main ones are obviously Scream, Scooby-Doo. He did a lot of voiceover work for Scooby-Doo, where he voiced Shaggy, of course. But for the most part, other than Shaggy, his roles have been very limited. Other than like TV stuff. But like all his video game voiceovers is just Shaggy Rogers. Anyway, enough about him and us like gushing over him because we love him.
He's such a good child.
Yeah, Matthew Lillard has like created our childhood for us, and we love him for it. So he's taken to his work coach Steve, where we learn the man was the boy's father, and he mistook him as a kidnapper. Steve offers him a job working night security, which Mike turns down, but Steve passes him a card as he leaves. Mike returns home to find his friend Max, played by Kat Connor Sterling, who was babysitting Abby while he was out. Mike dreams about a family barbecue from when he was a child, unsuccessfully chasing a car that abducts his younger brother Garrett. Mike is pulled into a meeting with his Aunt Jane, absolute piece of shit character, couldn't wait for her to die.
And she did it.
She did. She did. God, she dies, you sort of hear some ruckus, and then her body is, like, it's just her legs. She wasn't ripped in half or anything special like that, she's just dead. We did say a lot of these deaths in this film were off-screen, which is unfortunate, but for a PG-13, unfortunately you have to make some sacrifices, but still enjoyed it nonetheless. It's a very campy film. But anyway. So it was Aunt Jane, played by Mary Stuart Masterson, about who should have custody over Abby. I must say, Mike and Abby's parents are dead. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. Those motherfuckers are dead. Jane threatens him with a court case if he doesn't sign over custody. Mike ultimately calls Steve and reluctantly accepts the job offer for the night watchman job. Steve gives the rundown of course, Fazbear's Pizzeria, and how it's been closed but not demolished due to the owner's sentiment for the place. Now, let's be real. It does get a bit obvious later on that Steve is going to be William Afton, the purple guy, Springtrap, etc. Like, when they kill off most of the cast, like 4 members of the cast, and the cast is small enough already, and they're talking about the man, and it's like, you've got Matthew Lillard, this big actor, it's pretty obvious who the man is, but I just love Matthew Lillard, and he's just unhinged and everything. But when you have someone who's such a big name like Matthew Lillard, he did get a bit kooky at the end. Or Stu. Loopy. You can tell that he's not in his prime anymore, because you've got to remember that Scream. Let me just look back. Scream. Even though we covered this, I've completely forgot when it came out. Scream came out in 1996, which is 27 years ago. He's 53 now. He can't go as unhinged as he was. Like, you could hear him when he was shouting at them that his voice isn't what he used to be, because he goes really like this. Bless him. He's done a lot with his career, and I'm happy to see him in basically anything that he's in. He's in 13 Ghosts as well, and that I have that on DVD, and that will be covered at some point. Not too soon though, because we don't need another fucking ramble from us about how much we love Matthew Lillard. Yeah. Steve tells him that the power is not the most reliable and wishes him well as Mike starts his first shift. This is, even though it's not really used in the film, it's because in the game you've got to survive the night with a limited power, and if the power runs out, Freddy then kills Mike. But in this, it's not so much. The power's a bit finicky at times, but I think that's because of the ghost kids fucking with it. So Mike watches a training video where he learns about the company's animatronic performers. Very 80s, very awkward. It is funny how well they sort of replicated them shitty training videos. I don't think it's the 80s when this happened, when this film is based. The Bite of 87 is when a kid died, but I don't know when this is set. Because I think it might be 90s, because there's not very modern things. There's not like mobile phones and stuff that you could use, and there's like the cars are quite old. It doesn't really specify it. But his brother went missing 10 years before the events of the film, so I don't know when he went missing specifically. But the theory that I was reading up on is that Garrett was the boy who died in the Bite of 87. But that wouldn't make sense. I don't know. Doesn't matter. If they make a second one, which I kind of hope they will, I'll be down for it. Maybe they could sort of address that a bit more. But anyway, enough about that. So he opens his locker, retrieving his security jacket and flipping a toy of Balloon Boy. Balloon Boy is obviously in the second one. The girl in this says hello later on, and I immediately got a clip up of Balloon Boy saying hello, and it sounds so similar. Yeah, she did as well. Well, you wouldn't have known because you've not seen the games. But it does sound a lot like Balloon Boy. So yeah, he flips the toy around before beginning his patrol. Mike pulls back a curtain, revealing Bonnie, Freddy, and Chica as the clock strikes 3 a.m. Now, the production, as I mentioned, the production design is fucking... they look so good, the animatronics. Like, that's what happens when you get Jim Henson's fucking company to make your fucking animatronics. Of course, Jim Henson making the Muppets. But, honestly, the love this film is given is amazing. Let me just show you. These are what they look like in the game. Obviously, they're a bit creepier, but...
They're definitely more creepier.
Yeah. They do look a lot creepier in the film. Well, they look newer, but obviously that's fair enough. This is from Five Nights at Freddy's 4, because that's set in the kid's mind. Look at the state of them there. The kid's having nightmares. Possibly while he's in a coma. Which is a fun thing for you, because apparently that kid is the... I'm going to shut up about Five Nights at Freddy's theories. Although I do have to kind of address them. As Mike sleeps at his desk, he thinks back to the barbecue once more, except this time several children appear. They all scatter and Mike chases one before suddenly awaking at 6 a.m, marking the end of his shift. Of course, this is exactly like the game where you're a night watchman, so your shift is going to end first thing in the morning. He returns home to Max, who once more babysat. Is babysat a word? Babysat? I don't know. She looked after Abby again. Who meets with Jane at a diner where they are served by Ness, I think he was credited as. He's played by Matt Pat. Obviously they were going to have him in the film. I had to explain to you who he was because you've never heard of him, but of course he fucking does Game Theory. He says, after all, that's just a theory. Like, it was so cheesy, but I loved it. It was so stupid. Jane is meeting with Max, who is working with her to incriminate Mike, but Max has found nothing that could be of any use. Max's brother Jeff, named Jeff, sorry about that, played by David Lind, suggests the plan to smash Fazbear's up in order to get him fired. Max later goes to Mike's as Abby is insisting to go to work with him. Mike is asleep at work, failing to notice... Mike later falls asleep at work, failing to notice Foxy, who has left his spot on a side stage. He once more dreams, begging the children for help before chasing a different child who cuts him with a hook hand. Of course, that's the kid that presumably is possessing Foxy. Mike awakens to the power flickering, and "It's me" is written on the mirror. A buzz from the front door makes him let in a police officer, Vanessa. I think that's also a character from the games. Played by Elizabeth Lyle, I don't know. You recognised her from You. Something like that. She was in You, that's all that matters. That film's terrible.
It was a bit rubbish, but she did amazing acting.
You has been... I've heard You's good. At least. She starred as Guinevere Beck in the TV series You. There you go. I've heard good things. I've heard the latest series is shit. But, anyway. Vanessa notices his wound that has passed onto his arm, giving him medical help in his office. I don't know how that works. The wound's passing over to real life. I don't know how that works. It's not really explained. This isn't fucking Nightmare on Elm Street. Vanessa seems suspicious of him due to him acting strange, claiming he will quit like those before him. However, as opposed to our cold intro, they're probably all dead. Our cold open, not cold intro. Vanessa powers up the animatronics for showtime, but after a short performance, they suddenly short-circuit and power off. Vanessa tells them of some children that went missing, which caused the restaurant to close. Mike closes up shop that morning with Vanessa wishing him well before leaving, all of this being witnessed by Jeff from a distance. Jeff takes his crew, which includes Max himself, a dude named Carl, played by Joseph Poliquin, and Hank, played by Christian Stokes. This is the most stupid fucking group of people that could commit crimes. You've got Max, who's just this random kid. Well, not kid, she's like around my age probably, so probably in her early 20s. You've got Jeff, this fucking bellend. You've got Carl, who just looks like a fucking nerd. Like, it reminds me of the band kids from fucking Halloween Ends that bullied Corey. These fucking random group of knobheads who are apparently threatening. See, Carl's just a random kid. Probably around the same age as Max. And Hank is some fucking old guy. He's got to be in his 60s. It's like, what? So you just got your sister, some random kid you probably know from college, and some fucking old guy. You can't call them that. You can't call cigarettes fags anymore. Because it's short for, you know, a homophobic slur. Why am I having to break this to you? You know what the homophobic slur is, don't you? I'm not saying it and don't say it.
Right.
Balls of meat. Yeah. A short way of saying that is calling it...
Oh.
Yeah, so you can't really call cigarettes anymore. Because it's short for...
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. That kid is probably being...
I can't keep up.
Yeah. Also, that slur is a name of a ball of meat that people eat in the UK. I've never seen them anywhere, but well, they've probably been discontinued because of their name. You know the slur, you know the homophobic slur we're on about. We're not saying it. So the crew begins smashing the place as Bonnie mysteriously leaves the stage. Carl, who's in the kitchen, fails to notice Chica pass behind him due to a banging coming from a cabinet. Investigating, he finds nothing inside except for Chica's cupcake. Pardon me. Carl is surprised when it disappears, reappearing in Chica's hand before flying at him. His screams are heard by Hank, who witnesses the cupcake tearing into his face, which is seen by Jeff on the monitors. He is dead. He doesn't survive. Hank runs until he locks himself in a storeroom with Bonnie, who proceeds to attack and kill him off-screen. He sort of this is in the trailer. This shot of him dying is in the trailer. But he sort of screams, he rubs his hand on the window that's covered in blood. It's very cliché, but... Anyway. Bonnie emerges and confronts Jeff, who flees to the control room, and on the monitors he watches Chica place the cupcake in a vent which leads straight to the office he's in. The same vent the guard crawled through in the cold open. Jeff holds the cover down on the vent until it leaves, but the door opens seemingly on its own. He heads out and is locked out, and unfortunately Foxy runs at him, killing him off screen as well. These douchebags should have had a bit more on-screen kills. However, someone is still alive. Max enters the building and follows a ghost boy down some corridors, entering a spare room where the boy's voice comes from inside Freddy's suit. I said this to you, that I knew this was going to fucking happen. I thought they were going to recreate the Bite of 87, but then they took it to a whole new level. She approaches the suit, which suddenly pulls her forward, tearing her body in half by biting into her. And it's all on screen. It's done in a shadow of her being physically pulled into the suit, but then her lower body is just dumped on the ground. It is brutal. Yeah. Sorry, I've got completely fucking infatuated by saying that. Abby accidentally discovers the custody papers that Mike had hidden from her. A knock at the door pulls him away. And opening it, he finds Vanessa, who tells him about the break-in, and the two go for a walk. Mike tells her about Garrett and his nightmares, and he also says how he remembers who is responsible but cannot picture him. Mike reminisces about happier times with his parents who passed away some time ago. Vanessa apologises because she has to leave, throwing his sleeping pills away, which has his address, his name, as you pointed out.
Pill tube. But I'm assuming in the US, watching the US, correct me if I'm wrong, do you not have your address and your name on it?
Yeah. Well, it would say who it's for and where it is. For a police officer to do it is stupid. Dangerous, but still. Mike is forced to go to work with Abby after not receiving a call from Max for obvious reasons. You could say she had to split. Thank you for your pity laugh. Fuck, I've accidentally scrolled up. Entering the building, they pass by the wreckage and Abby's settled down for the night in the control room. Mike patrols once more, being spooked by, I think, a different toy balloon boy, and seeing blood left from Hank's death. You made a fair point, which I was also thinking, where the fuck are the bodies gone?
Because I was like, all these like, but where are the? There's only so many numbers to shoot, so I was like, where are all?
Well, they're just taken into the back and dumped somewhere. Oh, Stacy's crying. Don't shout for me. I'll do it gently. Stasi! Stasi didn't watch this with us, by the way, because obviously we're at the cinema. Usually we go, oh, Stasi was here to watch us. We can't take a cat to a cinema, unfortunately. As much as we'd like to. Or like a pram or one of them backpacks that you can see in. No. So... I forgot where I was. Mike returns to his office and settles in for the night, falling asleep as a voice awakens Abby, who fails to wake Mike before she leaves. Abby wanders into the main hall and speaks to one of the animatronics. I believe it was Foxy or Freddy. Mike in his dream speaks to one of the children, but this time a boy. I believe he's played by the same kid who played young Luke in Kenobi. The boy offers to show them the man in return for something, leaving a drawing of Bonnie in the dirt. Mike awakens to Abby screaming, having been surrounded by the animatronics. Abby, however, defends them, which surprises Mike when they suddenly stand down. And Abby introduces them to him, and Mike believes it to just be a joke being pulled on him. Mike and Abby leave and return home, with Mike discovering that Abby's drawings depict the children from his dreams. Mike talks with her later about her friends and about Garrett, who she isn't really familiar with. I don't think she's 10. She's young, but I think she's under 10, so she wouldn't have been around for him. She's heard of him, but doesn't know him, of course. Mike shows her a drawing of Garrett being abducted, which she was told about by one of the ghost children. He asks her if the boy ever told her about the man responsible, and a yellow rabbit. So Mike and Abby return to Fazbear's, where Vanessa is waiting, having known about the animatronics being... I put alive, but... Thank you, Stasi. I say alive, but possessed. Kind of alive. The group will build a fort using the restaurant's furniture. This is that scene that I mentioned earlier about me being like, what the fuck, what is this film we are watching? I said to you, are they trying to make us forget that these robots just murdered some people? Hello, Stasi. He's not pleased. Someone is missing from the house. He is out, but Stasi's not pleased about it. Vanessa searches in a back room with Mike, finding a broken down animatronic that slams down on a broom handle due to its spring locks. As I had to explain to you, people can wear the suits as long as the spring locks are retracted, which unfortunately happens to a certain someone later on. Mike tells her that the children likely know what happened to Garrett, but Vanessa tells him he should let it go for his own sake. Abby accidentally knocks herself out when she goes to play Bonnie's guitar, which short circuits like before. They do resuscitate her, I should say. Mike speaks with Vanessa outside, who is keeping something from him, and warns him she will shoot him if he brings Abby back. Mike phones Jane, who comes to seemingly take custody of Abby, which understandably infuriates her. Abby, I should say. Mike picks up some more sleeping pills and returns to work, falling asleep again. This time things are different. The children tell him that he doesn't want to find the man, but to return to how it was before. The kids tell them that they want Abby in return, which he initially agrees to, but then declines, but unfortunately he is not able to change his mind. Mike calls out to the children which attack him in the dream, and when he awakens he's in the same situation as the guard before him. Bolted down to the chair with the mask coming in to rip his face apart. However, this time Mike is able to escape before it kills him, discovering Max and the others' dead bodies. Mike flees down a corridor before Foxy rushes him, but he's able to escape through the fire exit in time. Abby hides from Jane in the house, but a damaged Golden Freddy appears in the house, and a ghost child tells them it's time to leave, explaining that Jane is just sleeping. But of course, Golden Freddy had killed her off-screen again. Abby gets in a taxi with Freddy, driven by a YouTuber I've not heard of called Corey X Kenshin, as Mike awakens at a police outpost having been treated by Vanessa. Mike confronts her for her knowledge of the murders and explains how it's his fault Abby is going to die. Abby arrives at Fazbear's with Golden Freddy, who vanishes suddenly as Vanessa explains to Mike that the kids were never found. She tells him about the yellow rabbit who killed them and stuffed their corpses inside the suits. And Vanessa confesses to him that the man is coming, and that man is William Afton, Vanessa's father. William Afton being the purple guy from the game, of course. William is responsible for also kidnapping Garrett, so Vanessa and Mike plan to use electricity to disable the animatronics in order to save Abby. Vanessa refuses to go due to William's abuse from her childhood. Mike rushes to Fazbear's and enters through a vent in case William is there. Breaking through the other side, he witnesses Chica take Abby away and is almost spotted by Freddy. Chica takes her to a back room to put her in the suit from earlier as Mike pours water on the ground, allowing him to electrocute Freddy and Bonnie. Chica grabs Abby and begins to force her into the suit, but Mike tases her, shutting her down. As Mike consoles Abby, the cupcake powers on as the two of them flee, but Mike is attacked by it. Abby runs away as Foxy begins to stalk her through the main hall before she hides inside of the ball pit. Mike emerges having fought the cupcake off before the yellow rabbit appears. William has arrived. The rabbit laughs at his attempt to tase him as Foxy is disabled by Vanessa, who of course has come in for a hero moment. Pardon me, Jesus. There's a lot of talking, my voice is done. We literally recorded Primeval this afternoon, the one that went up before this, and then we went out, watched this, and now we're recording that as well, so my just like on its last legs. The rabbit mocks Mike before knocking him out and reviving the animatronics. The rabbit draws a knife, he wipes it like Stu does in Scream, which is a nice little callback to that. It was definitely a reference to Ghostface. So he draws a knife, but Vanessa holds him at gunpoint and he unmasks himself, revealing William Afton, aka Steve. Matthew Lillard, of course. From like an hour ago when we started this review. Vanessa shoots him in the arm, and Mike tells Abby she needs to show the animatronics what William did to them. She draws a picture as William stabs Vanessa in the stomach, causing her to collapse. Abby pins her drawing to the wall, which depicts William killing the children, which the animatronics, of course, see. They all turn on William, using the cupcake to tear a piece of his suit away, which causes his spring locks to retract on his body. But before he goes down, he puts his mask on. And inside the suits, they contract, killing him as Abby, Vanessa, and Mike escape. I don't know if that does kill him then, because he is convulsing a bit later. Mike keeps custody of Abby, of course, because the only surviving family member is fucking dead. And they return to their normal lives, visiting a comatose Vanessa in a hospital. Near the wreckage of Fazbear's, a ghost child watches as William's body convulses in a back room as the film ends. Yeah. So, very quickly before we get in, because I forgot to write it down, best kill I think we can agree can go to Max. It was the goriest and it was on screen. There were only 2 kills that were on screen, so it's hard to sort of pick. Well, it's easy to pick between. I mean, technically Carl's can be, with his face being sort of mulched by Cupcake, but it's not, it's just sort of like scratching. Worst kill, I think we can also agree on, can be literally anyone who died off screen. Because, come on. It's off-screen deaths, they're boring.
That's
Yeah.
because it doesn't.
I guess maybe they, well, other than the PG-13 rating, they may not have been able to really think of how... Well, they could have had him crushing them, they could have had him just fucking smash their heads against walls. But this is a PG-13 film, so they can't really show that. So yeah, that's best kill, worst kill. Amelia, would you like to give some thoughts?
I kind of liked it.
They do look fantastic.
I was kind of terrified.
They did look really good. That's what happens when you get...
Especially Fox.
And the additional detail of the robot underneath the mask and the suits, is when their mouths open, you could see the actual robotic skeleton underneath, which is just like the game as well. So big questions that we have to ask you each time. Oh, was he sneezing? Oh, I thought he was slamming against some tinies on the chair. I don't know if you saw. So, big question. Is it your cup of tea? Is it your cupcake? Is it your type of cupcake? It's not picking that up, sorry.
I would watch it if it was on Netflix.
I think I might get it on DVD. I might. I'd have to think about it when it eventually comes to physical releases. So, would you say it was your cup of tea? Your cupcake?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we enjoyed it. I really don't see where all the hate has come from it. It's not a terrible film. Unfortunately, there is the whole, like, most of these deaths are off screen, but I think what doesn't help is that they've adapted horror, like a horror game, and then made it PG-13. It's like as soon as I found out what age rating Megan had, I was like, oh god, this is gonna be shit. And the kills were pretty shit in that. But for PG-13, I wasn't expecting someone to be ripped in half. So, I'll give you that. That was very shocking. But, anyway. So yeah, we enjoyed it. Well, I wouldn't go as far as to say as we loved it. It's not low on our list, but it's also not near the top. Mine's about middle, bit higher than middle. Again, the set design is amazing. They did such a good job recreating everything. Like the fucking animatronics look great. The restaurant itself looks great. Like all the little touches, all the little plush dolls, all the little toys. Everything just looks like lovingly created. Stazzy, thank you. He's bringing us presents. Anyway, we'll wrap up there. thank you for sitting around for what feels like about an hour, possibly a little bit less. You can probably hear him screaming. Yeah, he knows we're wrapping up, so he's just going to scream his little head off. I've been your host, of course, Purple Minute 8, joined as ever by Amelia, my wife, the Obsidian Nook, Patel ASMR. You can find her link in the description inside of the link tree alongside all of mine and Morgan's. I am doing my best to get Morgan back on the reviews. We have a couple of films that I would love him to be a part of. But for now, hope you enjoyed this little bonus review. It's Amelia's turn tomorrow when this film comes out. We don't know what it'll be, but it's her last spooky film of the month. I know I said that in the Primeval review that this was going to be, well, that her film was going to be next, but here we are doing this as a bonus one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Once more, thank you again for listening. Apologies that this one has been so long. No, it's not been an hour, it's been about 40 minutes. Anyway, thank you again, and we'll see you next time.